I remember constantly feeling like I need to lose weight. Like that was always a factor in my life.
Wow.
From being, pretty young.
Wow.
So I don't think I like know really what it feels like. Now is the first time I'm finding out what it feels like not to be on a diet, not to think about like, I can't fit into those clothes, or going shopping is a nightmare because nothing fits the way I want it to fit. Like this is the first time I actually feel free to like do all of those things with confidence.
You used another phrase before we started recording. You said you feel light.
Oh yeah.
In, I think, a number of different ways. Explain what that means to you.
So I think there's obviously physically light. Like I feel like more mobile, more like I have more explosiveness in me.
Yeah.
But I think I also just feel like light emotionally and mentally, and I feel more agile in my head, more clear.
Wow.
Yeah. I wake up every morning with the feeling like I'm walking on air. Like, if that makes sense. Like,
It absolutely does,
super eager for the day. I'm excited about, like, everything right now.
Is this the first time you've felt like that for a prolonged period?
Yeah. 100%. Like, even before when I've lost weight, I lost 25 kilos after I had Noah. And I got down to like 80 kilos or so.
Yeah.
Which for my height is still overweight. But I think I felt some elements of this before, but never to this extent. Like never as like, just like bring it on, bring anything on.
So you shared a couple of figures there. Let's get the figures. How tall are you?
I am 165.
And what's your weight PB, should we say? Not that we should be super proud of it, but what's your best score on the scale?
55.9.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what's your worst score on the scale?
112.
Wow. Yeah. When were you 112?
That was after I had Noah.
The wow is more for the swing, because that's half. It's literally half your body weight.
Yeah.
Which is an insane kind of swing. So you had Noah when?
In 2010, he was born.
2010.
And then Marcel was born in 2014. So I lost 25-ish kilos after Noah, and then put it back on, and more probably, with Marcel. And then after I kind of stabilized at around 96. And I sat at 96 probably for the last 2 years before I started doing this.
Were you happy at 96 kilos?
I mean, it's all relative, right? Like, I thought I was happy.
Yeah.
I was doing all the things, right? I was still super into fitness. I did the marathon.
I remember.
I did. So I felt like I was happy, but I was still battling all the time, right? Like, battling with food and battling with, like, the swings of, like, feeling like I've accomplished something and then chasing on to the next, you know. But I don't know if I was genuinely happy the way I am now.
What does that feel like or look like?
Like I said, I don't think I've known a day when I wasn't on a diet. You know, like where food wasn't like, I have to resist that. Oh, and I can now have that because I've resisted that. Like, it's like a constant fight.
Really?
Yeah. The day after I took the pictures, I said that this is the first day I'm not on a diet anymore. Like, I'm not thinking about, I know what clean eating is. I've always known what clean eating is. I wasn't able to do it before. Now I know that when I fuel well, I feel well. And if I hydrate well, I feel well.
But you've never felt that before.
Not really. It was always like I'm restricting, but it was because I was chasing the weight loss. Right? Now it's more like I'm not chasing weight loss anymore. I'm like, now I'm just me and I'm happy and I'm here.
It's so cool. I mean, it's crazy what you sort of said there, because a lot of people, I think, are similar, that they're always heading towards something with food or heading away from something with food. You know, like, okay, now I can have this, or now I'm not having this. I'm abstaining from this. So the relationship it's never sort of linear. We're not, you know, food is what you said is our fuel. It's like, let's hold hands and let's do this together. Yeah. But you didn't have that relationship.
Not at all. It was very like, so you know when people talk about emotional eating?
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, that's not me. I don't emotionally eat. But really like my highs were coming from, like I would look forward to certain things. Or if I felt unsafe, or if I felt like I wanted to feel good.
Yeah.
Like the thing that I would turn to is food. And I even realized I was doing it with the kids. Like when I wanted to treat the kids, it wasn't treating them with my time or my energy or my attention. I was treating them with, let's go out to eat. And then, yeah, when that isn't part of the equation, you're like, oh, wow, there's all these other things I could be doing with my kids.
I mean, it is mental, isn't it? Because those people that listen to the show know I talk a lot about kids and know that I don't have kids. But one of my observations with children these days is that an easy reward is food. Now, when you and I were younger, I think we were probably also rewarded a little bit with food, but the options were
limited.
Were literally, there was no McDonald's here, right? And I think, do you remember when the first
one opened and there was a line outside because people were so excited?
Or they opened on the way to Sharjah, a drive-through Hardee's, and it was like a 40-minute drive to go there.
People would go.
Yeah, it was such a, we can reminisce about Dubai's old days as well. It was such a sort of trip and such a novelty to go and do it. So, but the choices were limited, but now the choices are everywhere to reward.
Yeah. And it's so easily accessible, right? Deliveroo's on your phone.
Yeah.
You could be sitting there thinking about it and like 30 minutes later, it's at your doorstep.
Yeah. What were some of your favorites then? Let's get into
to eat before.
Yeah, I want to let's unpack all the bad stuff and talk about it and understand like how many tubs of Ben and Jerry's you could eat in one sitting.
To be fair, I never like binge ate.
Right. Okay.
But my thing was like food was like how I felt free. So I'd be like, oh, I'm an adult. I can stop at the gas station and get like a Kit Kat and eat a Kit Kat on the way home, which isn't like a bad thing per se, but like if it's not part of your, and sugar does something where when you eat sugar, you want more sugar. Yeah. So like that was like a thing. But I didn't, to be really honest, it's not like I was like binge eating Ben & Jerry's or whatever. Like ice cream's never been my thing anyway. But it's like
shame.
If there I know what am I missing out on? But like whenever we went to my mom's house, it's like, okay, so my mom obviously like there's a lot of like caretaking and showing of love through food. Not that she cooks, but that she would tell people to cook.
Yeah.
So we like a lot of Indian food is not super healthy, parathas with ghee and like curries and stuff like that. And I would eat a lot of it. So there's no portion control at all. And just like a bread was definitely my thing. Right. Bread and butter is still my thing.
Really?
Yeah. The first thing I wanted to eat after I was done was baguette and salty butter. Like
it's pretty good though, right?
Yeah,
I think a lot about a baguette. And I do. Like, mate, I'll be honest, and I like ice cream.
Okay.
Like,
that's your thing.
Yeah, but I mean, how often? Like, I don't need it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even think about like, I'd rather have an acai bowl. Than,
it hits the same spots.
It does the same thing. Like my go-to, this is not about me, but this is about me. I take the Thermomix and I put in bananas, cacao powder, and a little bit of maple syrup, and it makes like chocolate banana ice cream.
Yum. That sounds so good.
It tastes really good. And that's one of the things as well that obviously you mentioned Deliveroo, like it's a lot faster to get ice cream on that.
But having said that, there's so many healthy options now that are available here. You just got to be careful because a lot of people advertise things as healthy. I mean, if you don't check the ingredients, then you're probably gonna get some.
This is the thing. But yeah, the old school baguette with some butter is pretty nice.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that's why I stopped eating bread, because where does it really go to?
There's no end.
There's no end to it as well, and maybe that's not a healthy relationship either. But I was just like, no, I just won't.
Yeah.
And since then, so you didn't so much binge eat, but you ate freely, and you said emotionally.
Yeah.
What did that look like?
So I think like It wasn't like, oh, I'm feeling sad, so therefore I must eat. It was more like, I want to feel happy.
Wow.
And so I'm going to treat myself with whatever it is.
So you're just trying to release dopamine through buying something and then getting a little sugar
it's
high.
Exactly that.
Frequently?
Very frequently.
How
like,
frequently?
I don't know, every day on the way home from work, or
Really?
every 100%. Like, there were periods of time where either I was super clean, where none of that happened, or I was rebounding from being super clean and all of that happened, and regularly.
But do you not have days where you're intelligent and most
I like to think so.
most of you said it, you've alluded to it when we were recording, you said it before, everybody knows, like you knew that it was wrong. Did you have moments when you're like, okay, I'm very calm now, I'm sober, I don't have one of these cravings, I know it's wrong, how do I stop it?
Yeah, I don't know if I was so lucid.
Really?
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying is like with food, I feel like your brain, when you're eating shit food, doesn't function well. And so you're making decisions driven by the food rather than making decisions driven by your own intent.
100%.
And when you cut out the foods that are like doing that, like sugar being one of them, then you're acting rather than reacting all the time.
Yeah.
So I think that was like the key, was when you detox from a lot of the pollutants that, like, there's chemicals in so much. I mean, this is like a whole thing, right? But when you detox from some of those things that are like, they create cravings in you, then you're like actually making choices as opposed to reacting to the last thing you ate.
That's actually really well put, and there's a lot of additives and preservatives within certain foods that are playing with your brain chemistry. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because although I know that, I've never actually thought of it in the way that you've just put it over. So you actually you have the knowledge, but you don't mix it with any rational moments.
Yeah.
And you
exactly.
just keep, so the food is basically numbing you or distracting you.
Yeah.
And you can't have those moments because you don't have the right fuel going in to fuel your brain in the right way. That's how you felt.
Yeah, and I think like a lot of us think that, okay, so if I don't eat sugar for today, that I'll be back reset.
Yeah.
But actually it's not a day. Like, I think for me, that's why that 6 months of complete consistency, and it was very unbalanced, right? Everyone was like, oh my God, how are you going to sustain this diet? It's unsustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to some extent, probably. But it was the right thing to do at that time because it was 6 months of I'm not entertaining any bullshit. Like, no bullshit is going in my mouth. And then that meant that, like, when I exited that period of 6 months, that I felt completely, like, now I can make choices. If I want to have something that has sugar in it, it's a choice that I'm making.